All right, guys. So now we're going to talk about how the Roman Republic ended. And so I know I'm going to be glossing over a lot of information here. There's not a lot of detail I can go into because I'm trying to keep this video under a time limit. I don't want to make this too long. So yes, you're going to take notes based off of this video. In terms of how I want your notes, you can do Cornell if you want to. You can do two column. You can do a mind map like I normally do, like on the board with all the squiggly lines and stuff. That's up to you. All right. But let's go ahead and get started. So yesterday we talked about the Punic Wars, and we left off with this information. I know, honors, you guys didn't get this, but it's kind of a summation, is that Rome is large, Rome has a lot of slaves, and there's a gap growing between rich and poor. So to sum it all up, these factors kind of start to lead to the decline and ultimate destruction of the Roman Republican style of government. You had a lot of leaders who tried to step into control and fix things. They weren't successful. There are a couple of guys who, thought, hey, if we just do this or if we just do that, that we can actually help people. And most of the time, the Senate was like, no, we don't want you doing anything to help the poor. We like things the way they are. So sorry, deal with it. Rome was pretty much crumbling. As Rome grew, the gap between the rich and poor got wider. Many of Rome's richest landowners lived on huge plantations, huge estates, and rather than hiring plebeians, they hired enslaved people. And this pretty much took a lot of plebeians out of work. These giant estates, these giant plantations, also took money from the hands of small farmers. So you have a lot of issues happening. About 1/4 of Roman society was poor. And we're talking the city poor, not everyone else, but the city poor. So things just are not good in Rome. What happens is a civil war happens between the rich and the poor. There are a couple of guys, one especially is named Gaius Marius, who was a dictator. He tried to change things. And eventually, what happens is his actions don't work. And so the consuls return to Rome, but the Republican style of government will no longer be successful. This guy, Mr. Gaius Julius Caesar, was the one that pretty much ended the entire republic. All right. Julius Caesar. In 59 BC, Caesar is elected consul. All right. So as consul, you guys know he is supposed to only serve for 1 year and has, power and whatnot. And rather than just kind of be happy with him and his co-consul, he decides that what he wants to do is he wants to have 3 guys in charge. Him, a guy named Crassus, and a guy named Pompey. And these 3 guys together pretty much weaken the power of the Senate, which, as you guys know, if anyone gets in the way and weakens the Senate, they are usually not very happy. So Caesar was still a great military leader. He was a great general. He conquered the province of Gaul for the Romans, which is modern-day France. He also, was well-liked by people. And so this makes him a giant threat to the Senate. The Senate says, look, do not come back to Rome. You can stay out there in Gaul, and if you come back to Rome, please don't bring your soldiers, because chances are if you come back, we're probably going to kill you or just arrest you and then execute you. Either way, somebody's going to die, right? Caesar says, you know what? I'm going to come back anyway. So him and his soldiers prepare for battle. They march towards Italy. They cross the Rubicon River, and they declare war on their enemies, starting another civil war. This time, Caesar wins. He becomes a dictator, and this completely ends the republic, because not only is he named dictator once, but he's named dictator at perpetuum, which means a dictator for a perpetually long period of time, which pretty much means this guy can be dictator for as long as he's alive. And the Roman people are cool with it. Why are they cool with it, you may ask? Also, remember, you only have to write down what's underlined. If you have to pause or rewind to get stuff, make sure you do it. He passes a lot of needed reforms. He expands citizenship, makes more people eligible to be citizens, and he's generally liked by everyone, except the Senate, who usually hates anyone that tries to take power away from them. So on March 15th, 44 BC, Caesar is murdered by a group of senators. After he dies, Rome pretty much is thrown into another civil war that lasts for a long time as well. And this civil war starts because of this idea, the second triumvirate. After Caesar's death, three men took power: Mark Antony, Octavian, who was Caesar's grandnephew and successor, and Lepidus. This was called the second triumvirate. And their goal was to kill anyone who had pretty much killed Caesar. So what the senators did not realize, did I skip something? Hold on. Oh yeah, I didn't do that. My fault. I did do that. So what the senators didn't realize is there are a lot of people that loved Caesar. And so when he died, the poor people declared him a god. Caesar's death plunged Rome into this, and these three guys pretty much came in and tried to fix it. Well, that didn't work out very well either, because this alliance of three doesn't last long either, because Mark Antony decides to join force with his new lover, Cleopatra, who we all know was Caesar's side and also had Caesar's child. Well, yeah, named Caesarion. But he decides, hey, Cleopatra's beautiful. I'm going to work with Cleopatra. And so Mark Antony pretty much alienates a lot of the Roman people because him and Cleopatra doing some really lavish and crazy things. And so a civil war breaks out between him and Octavian. In the end, Octavian wins and he gains control of all Roman lands. And thus we have Rome's very first emperor. So in short, the end of the Republic came because of the Punic Wars. Leaders tried to fix it, did not work. Rome goes into civil war, yay. Dictator comes in, tries to fix it, doesn't work, but the dictator also is part of the problem. Consuls return, thinking everything's going back to the way it was supposed to be. Nope. Julius Caesar steps in. I'm the leader of 59 BC, creates a triumvirate, becomes a great and is a great military leader, and the Senate gets mad at him and hates him. And so he comes back to him with his soldiers, pretty much kills everybody. Well, not everybody, just defeats a lot of people, takes over, and then he's assassinated on March 15th, 44 BC, called the Ides of March. And then the second triumvirate comes into to avenge his death. This ends in another civil war between Octavian and Mark Antony. Octavian would win and become Rome's first emperor. And the next lesson you guys are going to get will be on the Roman Empire. Thank you for your attention.